Thank you for joining us this morning. We're happy to have you here for our monthly webinar series, starting out 2021 with a bang. We have a really great program for you. We're really excited. Some awesome resources in the SUNY community and outside the SUNY community to talk to you about Coursera for Campus. We got Lisa Stevens from University of Buffalo and also from System Administration. She's a hardworking woman that works for almost everybody, I think, in the SUNY system. Haven't seen a place she hasn't worked yet. And then we have Dan Feinberg from SUNY Online, another awesome and great resource for our SUNY system administration and campuses. So let's get started here. If this is the first time you've ever been here, welcome. We're really happy to have you. I know we've had some recent people joining us in the group, some project management fundamentals participants, and some other people that have heard about us through different activities we've been doing. So I just want to give you a quick little overview. I promise I won't read slides. So we're just a community of practice. We are inside and outside the SUNY community. We do allow people outside of SUNY to come in and join us from other educational institutions and other places. Just something to keep in mind. We're trying to create a space where you guys can share your best practices, talk about project management concepts, and learn about different topics that affect project management. Become a place for professional development. For you to further your career in project management or even your other fields, just project management, helping those things out. We do hold monthly webinars. We are the fourth Thursday of every month here in Workplace live. We try to get different topics, whether they be about professional development, project management, or other things as well. We have discussion posts in our group. Moderators and our members are more than welcome to actually present. We've asked people to post and ask questions. Is a great resource to ask other project management like individuals inside SUNY questions that you may have. We try to do some polls, and we also really like I said, since we're mainly centered around professional development, to offer those training opportunities. Whether you're officially a project manager in title or not, some different things that can help you manage your day-to-day organizations. So my name is Kris Lynch. If I haven't met you yet, I apologize, but I'm a SUNY CPD coordinator. I work for the Center for Professional Development. My contact information is there on the screen. I am the logistics of the project management community of practice. And I do have Christa Glassman here. She is our subject matter expert. So Christa, you want to introduce yourself?
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. First session for 2021. I'm the director of the PMO, Project Management Office at ITech for SUNY. ITech is the private managed IT hosting arm of SUNY. We have a group of project managers here, and what we've been doing for many years now is to try to engage and enable folks within SUNY, whether they be in IT or other facilities or on the functional side, to begin to become familiar with terminology with project management offices, what function they serve on campuses. So Kris and I have teamed up to present a program for learning and skills development specific to project and portfolio management across SUNY.
Great. All right, so we have a couple people here, like I said, speaking with us. We have Lisa Stevens, I should say Dr. Stevens, from the University of Buffalo. And then we also have Dan Feinberg from SUNY Online. We also have Jivesh. He comes directly from Coursera. So that is really awesome that we were able to get him as well. Like I said, I'm not going to read anything, but Lisa and Dan, if you guys want to say anything, give a shout out. Jivesh, you as well. Go for it.
Great. Thanks, Kris.
Okay.
Can I go ahead and share my screen?
Yes, you can. Let me stop my share right here.
Thank you.
And let you go for it.
All right. So hopefully that works.
Yep,
Kris,
I see it. Looks great.
Beautiful, beautiful. First, I did want to thank you all for having us here today. As Kris said, my name is Dan Feinberg. I'm going to be kicking us off in our conversation about Coursera, but my partner in crime, Lisa Stevens, who is just getting to her computer now, she'll be chiming in at different points, as well as Jivesh de Sousa, who is our colleague at Coursera, right? Lisa and I work for SUNY, of course, but we work closely with Jivesh on a number of Coursera partnership opportunities. So let me jump right in. If you've heard of Coursera, you've probably heard of it as, you know, a high-flying Silicon Valley tech company, but it's also an education company is really what it is. The goal being to transform education and teach people throughout the world. Many of their options that we'll talk about today, and I should say upfront, SUNY, through its partnership with Coursera, is able to bring to you over 5,000 different trainings, different coursework, courses, MOOCs, available to you at no additional cost. So I want to talk today a little bit about Coursera as a content provider and a little bit as the option for you to author content on Coursera if you would like to be part of that community. And when I talk about the community, it is a massive scale that we don't normally get to see here. When we post content on Coursera, it's available to 77 million learners throughout the world, which is just a reach that is unparalleled, right? That we just can't do through anything else. Large portion in North America, but you can see 2/3 of Coursera's learners are not from North America. So it's a great opportunity to learn from others around the world and to share our knowledge with them. SUNY is fortunate to be one of a select group that is actually partners with Coursera. I think we were one of the first systems to partner with Coursera several years ago at this point, but we're in good company, right, with Johns Hopkins and Stanford and Yale and Duke and SUNY and London School of Economics and all sorts of other universities and systems around the world that we are able to, by virtue of this partnership, able to share content with, where we can take their content at no cost and they can take our content at no cost. So it's a great opportunity for us. We, SUNY, have, and Jivesh, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, and Lisa, around 50, I believe, 50 to 60 different MOOCs, and we call them courses, MOOCs, and specialties up on Coursera platform, ranging everything from Bitcoin and autonomous driving to ignite your everyday creativity, to how to create a website in a weekend, or how to deal with, you know, foundations for assisting in home healthcare, right? So, you know, it really runs the gamut of topics. A lot of Coursera does tend to be a little bit more technical, right? A heavy STEM bend to it, right? And a number of the pieces of Coursera content that we, SUNY, have created are technical as well, but really, regardless of what you're looking for, you should find something up there, and not just something, but something from one of the top providers around the world. And we'll dive a little bit deeper into some of the project management specific ones later in this conversation, but there's a ton out there regardless of what you're looking for. The other nice thing is that there is content created by a number of industry partners, right? I know that many people in this audience have a more technical beat as well, but you know, you can learn about Amazon Web Services from Amazon. You can learn about Google SEO optimization from Google, right? You can learn about, you know, all of those. So you can learn project management from Atlasian. You know, you can, it is a great opportunity and earn industry certificates for that. Hey, Lisa, welcome back. And earn industry certificates to certify what you've learned. And so it really is a great opportunity. There's a number of organizations that work with Coursera for professional development for their own workforce, right? And we aren't on this list because we're not an industry, but we have those available to us as well, right? We're very happy to be able to roll that out. In addition to universities and industry, number of governments that we're able to reach and work with on their content. And really, they have been growing. You know, this graph doesn't do it justice. They've been more exponential sort of growth over the last year, over the last period of time that, you know, what started less than 10 years ago with only a couple people now is closing in on 100 million learners. All right, so it's been a real journey for us. The last year particularly has seen a tremendous amount of growth. The number of enrollments, quadrupled? Something like that. From 18 to 77, just about quadrupled. There was a global pandemic in the meantime, which left people with a lot of time at home and a chance to improve their skills. So they took advantage of it by going on Coursera and upskilling and learning new materials, right? And we're very happy to be part of that as well. And again, you know, this is just a little bit more about who the audience is on Coursera. Coursera was started by Daphne Kohler way back when, I think, what did it say, 2002, 2012? 2012, out of Stanford. She really was a visionary on education, what it could look like. And we've come a long way to sort of educating people at scale through her vision. Now, what does this look like for SUNY? Like I said earlier, SUNY has 51 courses split into across 7 specializations. We do have a number of standalone courses that aren't part of specializations. A specialization would be a series of 3, 4, 5 courses that roll up on the same topic. For instance, there are 4 courses that make up the blockchain specialization, right? We have had over 1.5 million learners enroll in our courses, which is just a phenomenal number. Just unbelievable. 80% of those have been outside North America. So it's been able to increase the reach of SUNY into markets that we just never are able to, right? To just reach all corners of the globe on a scale that is just difficult otherwise. It's been great for us. Most of our courses, like we talked about, most of our courses do tend to be a little bit in the physical science or the computer science, STEMmy sort of things, health, data science. But we do have, I think, a wide variety of offerings. And like I said, if we don't have it, I'm pretty sure someone else does. We're always looking for more content. If you have an expertise in something that you would like to share, we would be happy to talk to you about how to create a course out of that, create a specialization out of that, and be part of this. You can see our enrollments sort of matched what the enrollments that we saw on a larger scale, that they really took off during the pandemic when people were at home, and you know, Coursera was kind enough to make many of their courses available. They did a bunch of marketing at that point, and it really drove users to the platform. So even though it is settling a little bit at this point, the baseline is much higher than it was previous to a year ago. The top course that SUNY has produced, measured by number of enrollments, is how to write a resume, right? And then number 2 would be how to create a website in a weekend. And these are project-based courses that are accessible to everybody. They tend to have lower completion rates because they are sort of skill-based and things where people have a specific thing they want to learn rather than trying to earn an industry certification. As far as which are the ones that have the highest completion rates, they're ones that where a certification in, you know, safety in the utility industry or collaborative robot safety or natural gas, where that sort of certificate is valued within the industry, and it is something that you could then put on your resume or share with your employer, right? So interesting different things. The blockchain courses have been big hits. Those are out of University of Buffalo. University of Buffalo has driven a lot of the more high tech, is that the right word to use? A lot of the most forward-looking ones that we have in regard to blockchain and autonomous driving and some of these power things. So they've really been on the cutting edge of a lot of this. One of the first blockchain courses on the platform. That's all I know about blockchain. But if you're interested, please go on, sign up, no cost, learn more. I won't be doing the teaching. It does typically tend to be a slightly older, well, significantly older age group than your normal residential on-campus population. It also tends to be more male, which is interesting. I'm sorry? Oh, it tends to, no worries. It tends to be an older, more male. So this is, we're, again, like I mentioned earlier, we're reaching a population that is different than our traditional residential students, certainly, that expands our reach into new markets. Lisa, do you want to speak about this one? This is who is taking our courses, I believe.
The nice inroad that we have through the Coursera platform is in India. Yeah. And that's the learner base that is most interested in the content that we currently have up. Then you can look down the line to see where we are most popular.
Right. Thank you. So, like we were saying, it's just it's an amazing opportunity for us. Interestingly, the large majority of people who are taking our courses are already full-time employed, right? They're looking to upskill, they're looking for advancement, they're looking for professional development. We do have a number of people who are job seekers, who are, who we're able to reach and help through this, but many of our students tend to be already part of the workforce and already have college degrees. And in fact, almost more than a third of our, we're close to a third of our learners already have a master's degree, right? And are continuing their education through Coursera. Right, and these are just the industries which we tend to work with, education services and education. So by far, we are reaching those involved in teaching and learning. I mentioned already that the most popular course domains in our organization are more STEM related, right? We do have, like I said, we do have all sorts. We have a great course that just came out recently on business, on starting your own small business. We did through a partnership with Small Business Development Group in New York City, which I think is going to be a hit and is going to really help a lot of small entrepreneurs. So really, regardless of what your stage is, your position is, there's opportunity out there. These are some testimonials, right, that we've been able to get from our students who've taken this. The top one, again, is from the website, the weekend course, that has, at this point, probably close to 170,000 total students in it, which is just a remarkable idea. And you can see in the bottom one, we're reaching students in Sri Lanka, reaching students, around the world on this sort of thing. Even something like solar energy, we have 45,000 students enrolled in that, right? Blockchain, like I mentioned, has been a big hit. We were one of the industry leaders in that. Again, that's the University of Buffalo course. Over 120,000 learners. The practical time series analysis, which I know less about than I do about blockchain even, is a
SUNY Poly.
SUNY Poly, right? That's a SUNY Poly course. We have ESF, we have Empire State, Albany, Stony Brook, like I said, a number of Buffalo ones, even Monroe Community College, a number of different campuses are participating in this. Lisa, you want to take over for a minute?
Sure. And actually, Jivesh could pop in here as well, because when Coursera was launched, it was one big delivery platform with interesting courses. And they have since figured out how to segment content, or maybe more accurately said, segment the audience to receive the content that may be of most interest to them. And one of the most recent initiatives has to do with this social impact program. Jivesh, you want to pipe in?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Dan. I think you do a better job of talking about Coursera than I do, so I'm going to take some
Please.
notes. So just as Lisa said, I think, and what Dan said at the start of this, the reason we're all doing this at Coursera is just to try and find new ways to get content from some of the best universities out there to as many people as we can. And over time, we found a really effective way of being able to balance making sure that, developing content is obviously, I would say, revenue maximizing or profitable for a university, but at the same time that we're able to provide affordable access to all this content. So over the last year, as part of sort of our drive to have more social impact, what we did in response to COVID was launch our coronavirus response initiative. And even though there's a host of others, Coursera for Refugees, a lot of work that we're doing with underrepresented high schools, our COVID response initiative has by far been one of the most significant. And the idea there was that educational institutions the world over were just ravaged by COVID. I mean, in the United States, in North America for sure, but definitely in developing parts of the world as well, where they didn't have the infrastructure to so easily move online. So our coronavirus response initiative essentially said, if you're a learner at any university in the world who's been affected by this, you now have free access to the Coursera catalog, and you can use that to essentially supplement or sort of provide a bit of a patchwork regarding your education while everything is happening. And through that, we reached, I would say, almost 3 million learners. We had well over 6,000 universities choose to sign up. And it was just a resounding success. We were able to see such tremendous engagement on the platform, and we heard such great things from learners. But that, I think, is what Lisa was hopefully getting at when she was talking about how we've been able to segment and understand where learners are coming from and how best to reach them.
Yeah.
Indeed. Next slide, please.
Sure.
There we go. Oh, okay. So then expanding diversity and inclusion is a natural outgrowth of that as well. Next slide. And this is where we start talking about, and I'm going to speak to this very quickly. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to learn more, feel free to reach out to Dan or myself. But essentially, this is a graphic that explains how the content stacks up. It's a little bit confusing for those of us that work in higher education because of the manner that we describe a regular semester long course. A course in Coursera is roughly 4 to 6 weeks long. And then if you stack 3 of those or 4 of those, depending on the length, together, then in a logical sequence, it becomes equivalent to what we would consider the amount of time that it takes for a semester long course. Obviously, if you connect up a bunch of these courses into what Coursera describes as a specialization, then you can continue to put those in sequence up towards certificates or degrees. Next slide. And these are the classes that are available. If you go to this website address, you'll be able to see all of the catalog of courses available. I believe we selected some here that are related to project management.
We did.
Go ahead, Dan.
Online.suny.edu/Coursera. Right. Those should be available to you now. Sorry, Lisa, I don't mean to cut you off. I just needed a drink. There are a number of these courses in their entirety are available now to anybody with a SUNY email address. So if you're albany.edu, if you're SUNYSCCC.edu, if you're buffalo.edu, SUNY.edu, whatever it happens to be, we have waitlisted all 64 email addresses, and you and your students and faculty and staff should have access for no cost to, I think it's close to 4,000 or 5,000 of their courses on this from people around the world.
And Dan, we also, just to toss in, we whitelisted ITech as well.
Perfect. And if you are a SUNY employee and we somehow forgot, please let us know, because this is open to all faculty, staff, students within SUNY.
This screenshot, Dan, was one of two where once you hit that website address, it will take you to an opportunity to personalize your own little piece of the portal. And then the next slide describes the catalog where you can go in and begin to search for all of those classes. Excuse me. Next slide. And again, these are the classes that are related primarily to project management, and some of the content that Christa had indicated would be of interest to this audience. Next slide.
That's it.
Oh, look at that. Should have put Jivesh in there too.
Yeah, no kidding.
So now we can respond to questions.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. I have been paying attention to the chat and the stream on Workplace. So if you have any particular questions, please feel free to throw it in there and we will relay those directly to Dan and Jivesh and Lisa. We're super excited about this opportunity. Christa and I both have used Coursera before. I'm currently using it to take a specialization in social media marketing, kind of to work with my job that I'm doing now, and it's really awesome. I love the program.
Who's that through, Chris? Do you know?
If this one is through Facebook.
Great. So
yeah, this one. So the nice thing about this is you guys were talking about the certificates. Not only am I going to get a Coursera certificate, but I'm actually going to earn a certificate from Facebook, which is highly regarded in that that sphere. So that if I wanted to, or if I ever had to change my job, we all know as state employees, you never know what's going to happen. So you got to prepare and make sure that you're doing that lifelong learning ahead of time. So Carolyn asks in the chat, does it tell you the time commitment for each course when you're looking at a course description?
Yes, it does.
It should. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, and I forget what the analogy you use about this, but Lisa, about how, go in and investigate a course and see if it's for you. And if it's not for you, move on to the next one.
The metaphor, the analogy, I'm sorry, excuse me, is it's like reading a newspaper, that when you open a newspaper, a traditional print newspaper, now digital, you scan the headlines and you decide what you want to read. And it's very similar to that for MOOC use.
I can speak to that as well. This is Christa Glassman. I went through and selected a few Agile and Agile project management classes. And with that specifically in mind, how long will this take me? Do I carve out enough time? Can I carve out enough time to finish this? And I must tell you, I have finished a few and they were right on the money as far as the amount of time up front that I had to commit.
Yeah, I found that depending on how much time I could dedicate it throughout the week, and I tried to do it after I put my kids to bed about 8 o'clock, if I spent an hour to an hour and a half dedicated to doing that before going to bed or something like that, I found they were pretty accurate, if not a little maybe overestimated, depending on you and your personal skills. So I found them to be pretty good.
And we should say, they're for the most part, right? Most of the ones that you'll experience are asynchronous courses. There's a lot of video involved. There's a lot of looking at maybe reading web resources, taking quizzes. There are opportunities to interact with other learners, but pretty much like Chris was saying, you can take them asynchronously at any point. You don't need to everyone be online at 6 p.m. Eastern time. It's not that sort of experience. So
Carolyn says she joined a little late, so she missed this, but could you give us a quick recap of what is in this for SUNY as a system? She can see what it is for employees, students, and learners. So looks like we do have somebody interested in that kind of piece.
Sure. So there's two things that are in it. One, there is a revenue share with Coursera where organizations, institutions, companies may pay for to license content. And there is a revenue share that goes back to the campus and the individual. More so though, it is about the reach that we have, right? That we've been able to reach 1.5 million learners. Like Lisa was saying, so many of them in the Indian subcontinent, so many of them located around the world. You know, that it is a way to increase SUNY's reputation. It's a way to increase people's familiarity with what we do on a global scale.
And I know, Carolyn, you are from the SUNY Sale Institute, so that might be a thing that would help you with some of the programs that you have.
Carolyn Matisky, we can absolutely work together on this.
Let's see, I don't see any other questions, so I wanted to share real quick some of the stuff that Krista and I found so that people can see that. And I'm so happy, Krista, that you took some of these classes. That's awesome.
Well, I had a few extra hours to spend, believe it or not, early this year, and I decided I wanted to go through one of the courses end to end, just to be sure that I understood how it would flow, how the time commitment was, the quality of the materials, and everything was very, very good.
So this happens to be one that Krista found for us. This one is Agile Organization. This one is offered by the University of Colorado. So like Lisa and Dan have spoke, these are offered by reputable organizations and university systems. It's not something that you're just taking for, you know, fly of the night organization sort of thing. So like we said, there is the time commitment down here, talks about 10 hours to complete. There is a description here about the course so that you can decide what it is. I know Agile project management and Agile is very interesting to our project managers, and people are looking for more professional development on that. Trying to see if it would fit their organizations using this to actually manage projects instead of using a waterfall or something else. So the other nice thing is they do have the syllabus. So this tells you right here how many weeks it is, how long it's going to take to complete each week. It also gives you a synopsis of what actually is in the course. This one has 5 videos you need to watch, 2 readings, and 2 quizzes. And it tells you where it fits. So this is a 3-week course, not really that hard to complete. I will let you know, if you complete a week early, you are more than welcome to start on the 2nd week early. So you don't necessarily have to do it in 3 weeks. You could do it in a shorter period of time, depending on how much time you have to dedicate to these sort of things. There is the reviews so that you can see it, and you can also see the instructors and where they work. So in this case, Oksana works in the business school at the University of Colorado. Some of the other ones that we found, and I'll bring those on.
You'll notice too, just one moment, Chris,
Sure.
screen you were just on, you can sort your courses by level. You hadn't mentioned that already. This one is a beginner level, but there's an area in the filter where you can sort at beginner, intermediate, or advanced.
Yep. Perfect. So this, we also, Krista found some ones out there. If you are an Atlasian campus, there is an Agile with Atlasian available out there. That one is actually offered from Atlasian directly, so it's a vendor sponsored one.
Many of our campuses use Confluence as a web base, and that is based on Atlasian's platform. Jira is also their project methodology, which is integrated with Confluence.
So this course in particular discusses Agile, Lean principles, Kanban, and Scrum, and uses the software cloud as a software tool. So you can see this one here gives a nice Agile overview to start with, and then actually goes into some Jira. So very highly, and Steve Burns is an instructional designer from Atlassian. So Lori says they use Jira and Confluence. So this might be something that would be really helpful for you, Lori, taking a look at this for a month or so. And like you said, at beginner level, and about 14 hours total to complete. And you can see also if you have people in your office that don't speak English as a first language, they do have subtitles for the videos in different languages so that they can also understand them, you know. I'm trying to think what else. Well, what other ones? Go ahead, Lisa.
Should have asked you guys to put this stuff up before we started talking.
Krista, what other one do you think I should? We got a little bit more time here. What other one do you think you think is worthwhile showing people?
I think there's a few on leadership. And again, University of Colorado has a pretty robust set of courses. With project management, I think most of us know it's more of an art than a science. It really has to do with the ability to prioritize and influence decisions and negotiations. So leadership is a big part of that. And there are certain roles within Agile that you learn about here, and you learn about the different ways to bring people to the table to work on your projects and help them to get ownership and buy-in to working on the project with you, because so many of us within SUNY do not have dedicated resources for our projects. We have to negotiate for those resources with our other team leads. This is a good way to help get your project to the top of the list if you possibly can as far as resources go. I found that one to be pretty good as well.
So this one is a great one because this one is a 5-course specialization. These are the ones Lisa and Dan were talking about. Other ones we've shown you are actual single courses, but this one makes up 5 courses. So you do get your certificate upon completion. Just to let you know, the courses I've taken, I've been able to add those right to my LinkedIn so people can see them, put them right in my resume. It's wonderful. But this one is a beginner specialization, but you can see it's made up of different courses. This one has 5 different courses talking about different things. You can take them one course at a time if you want. You could also sign up for the specialization after you take the first course. So if you just want to do one course, see what it's like, and then possibly sign up for the specialization, you don't need to necessarily do that from the beginning.
Exactly. And again, a course is not a 16-week commitment, right? Like we would normally think of courses, it's close enough 4, 8, 10 hours, 12 hours.
Yeah, I found that most of them are between 3 and 5 weeks.
Yep.
That's what I found very appealing about this. It was
This was 9 hours.
Off of a menu, a la carte, or those specific skills that you want to shore up in your knowledge bank, but don't have the time or don't need the entire course because you may have had that somewhere along the line in your professional life prior to then.
I believe that the Coursera credentials posted on LinkedIn are the second most popular credential to post behind Microsoft.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this kind of gives you a look at what what a specialization is and what you can take a look at. Different things. You can click, each one of them are linked, so you can click to them and take them as you go. And then this one actually has a capstone project. So that's also as well. And I found that when doing mine, just similar to our SUNY Online courses that may be asynchronous, they do a lot of things with bulletin boards, message boards and that sort of thing. And people are super responsive. People are really great about answering things like that. They're very active. You don't have to participate in them, but you can. And it really does help kind of create that community of you taking the course with them. So it is really wonderful. So I think we have another question. Since these are open access, we can use this content to continue building out our other courses too, right? Obviously with site sources.
That's a great question. That's a tough question. So these are open access primarily because through our partnership with Coursera, right? You as a private person would probably you'd have to register and pay to access many of these. You see at the top, it says sponsored by the State University of New York. Some of this content is openly licensed, some of this content is not. So it would depend on what the course is, but this is not all OER. Now, one thing you could do is invite all of your students to take a course, right? You could say, you know, I want everyone to go through the first course in this specialization. You certainly could do that, but you would have to see on a course by course basis about how it's actually licensed, the material, if that makes sense.
A lot of people describe MOOCs as textbooks, sort of the new textbook. So for example, when I'm teaching my Introduction to Communication, Mass Communication class, there's a number of short courses in here that really exemplify some of the concepts I'm presenting. So it's nice to be able to direct students to that content. However, I would never take that content and pull it into my course, even with attribution, chop it up, you know, re-edit it. It's not that type of OER. It's openly available, but it's not licensed for reuse. Jivesh, did you want to clarify any of that from Coursera's
No, yeah,
perspective?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. What Lisa and Dan said was absolutely correct. What I have seen is, when certain sort of instructors or faculty members find a piece of content on Coursera that they really enjoyed, and they want to adapt, then sometimes they reach out to that instructor directly and say, hey, you know, I really was inspired by your course and I want to replicate it. That works really well. Like Dan said, because a lot of this is not open in the strictest sense, I wouldn't recommend just grabbing bits and pieces of it and repurposing it without permission. But the other, apart from direct outreach, what Lisa says is a great example as well, where faculty and instructors have used this almost like a co-curricular. So, you know, throughout our course, why don't you take one of these MOOCs because it exemplifies one of the ideas we're getting at. So linking your students to a MOOC might work really well in that case.
And that's what they said. That's what they were thinking, using it as like a prerequisite or inside, having them take it as a full MOOC. So Lisa, I really loved your description of the MOOC. That's a great way to make it. Yeah, great analogy.
I'm sure it's not original, but thank you.
If you guys have any other questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat. I'm gonna, just to give you guys a couple minutes, I'm just gonna show you guys one more of these to take a look at, just to give people time to put them in the chat, because I know you guys are a little bit behind us. So one of the other ones that Christa had in here was developing an agile team. There we go. So this one is a course. All right, beginner level, about 9 hours to complete in English. Looks like talks about mentoring individual members of your team on a similar journey, change resilience. What this one goes into a little bit of the psychology. I like this one. Influences human behavior in teams by looking at social psychology. Evaluate teams' level of change resilience and agility, and applying practical terms from Scrum project management framework. And also learn how to be a servant leader. So this one also fits really nicely if you're looking to develop those leadership skills within your teams. So something awesome I'm sure people were looking for. So we did get a couple comments. Carolyn says this is a great professional development opportunity for our employees looking for no-cost solutions. Exactly, Carolyn. That's why we decided to do this presentation. We wanted to get some more information out there. We know professional development budgets are very tight, if not non-existent nowadays. So we're trying to get some different things out there for people so that they can continue that lifelong learning and possibly enhance their career. We know we have a lot of people in this group that are project managers, but not necessarily by title. And they may be looking to become a project manager by title and actually do that instead of doing multiple things. So that's kind of when we looked at it. And Lori says she's going to check out that social media marketing course. So another person taking another Coursera course out there. So do you guys have anything you'd like to say in kind of a conclusion?
You know, the reason we put the TED Talk link to Daphne Kohler's original talk is it gives people the opportunity to see the DNA that Coursera was developed in. She was the youngest fully tenured full professor at Stanford. She was raised at her father's knee at the lab bench in apartheid-driven South Africa at the time. And she couldn't understand why people couldn't have free, open access to education. So this was all spawned from that idealized position. Obviously, as you grow a company, you need to figure out how to fund it. So they did have to add paywalls, but overall, it's been really successful as a way to bring more people, funnel them into formal programs. A lot of campuses are using these classes to attract students to come into their programs, online or seated.
Yeah. I do know that even though there is that paywall, they do offer the opportunity to audit courses for free.
Yes.
You don't get everything that you would get if you were paying for it, but you do get to know that knowledge, you know, so that is definitely something that is really awesome about the Coursera company. You know.
Thank you for the opportunity from my end to share about it. I leave Dan and Jivesh to speak.
No, this was really great. Thank you very much, Kris.
Yeah, thank you all.
Yeah.
It was a great experience.
And
Thank you very much for spending time with us. We really appreciate it. Everybody says that they are very happy to have this information, and I'm really glad that we were able to share it. I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. I just want to do a couple last minute
And Kris, if you'd like to put our contact information back up at the end, we'd be happy to help with any other questions.
All right. And I will put the slides up for this, the intro slides and Lisa's and Dan's slides with the links. I also will put some information out there about the courses that Christa found for Agile Project Management if you're looking for them. And I'll also put, somebody asked for the Facebook one that I'm taking, so I'll put that out there as well. I'll link the TED Talk so that you guys can take a look at that. It's a very interesting. So just to let you know, we do have more upcoming monthly webinars. We're working on scheduling our speakers and our topics. If you have something in particular you want to hear about or somebody you think would be awesome for this community, we would love to hear it. If you want to speak, we'd love to have you as well. We've had quite a few people speak on different topics in here. I know Lori, who happens to be watching, she is probably going to speak for us in the next couple months. We're going to see if we can schedule her, but we do have them, like I said, on the 4th Thursday of every month at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. There's the dates so that you can kind of save them in your calendar. We'll be putting more information and events into Workplace so that you can take a look at it. And the other thing I wanted to tell you about is there are some upcoming professional development opportunities. We do have a project management fundamentals workshop coming up. These currently are being delivered by John Brennan. He is the CIO from Hudson Valley Community College. It's a really great program. They fill quite fast. We are doing online synchronous classes delivered via Zoom. They're 2-day classes. We schedule them from 8 to 4. They don't necessarily last that whole entire time. We have one starting next week on the February 1st. Today is the last day to register for that one. And then we have another one scheduled in April 12th and April 13th. And since they are filling so quickly, we're actually looking at scheduling another one in May 2021. So if you are interested in that, you can definitely take a look at that bit.ly. There also is information in our group about those classes so that you can take a look at them. As things progress, we will definitely announce them. So if you have any direct questions that you want answered about that, please feel free to contact me. We also are looking at some different opportunities to create more classes on project management within the SUNY CPD. We like to provide them directly from the CPD because we can give them to you at a cost savings that you not necessarily can get outside of the SUNY organization. And we want to make sure that we're offering those low cost solutions to you now, especially, but even afterwards. You know, even after the pandemic and budgets start to return to somewhat normal, we want to make sure that you guys are spending your money wisely. We know it's very tight. So, all right, I will let you guys go. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. We had some great discussion in the chat. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next month. Thank you.
Thank you very much.